Welcome to Digital Nation, our weekly whistle-stop tour of the best stories and features unearthed by local TV stations up and down the country. On the show this week, kids taking on the great outdoors, seeing the light in Blackpool, and all the glamour of Brighton's gay Oscars. And don't forget to tell us what you think. Get in touch on Twitter with the hashtag #DigitalNation. First up, let's head to Cambridge, where we meet a dog whose job it is to save the life of his diabetic owner. Scientists say there's nothing magic about Magic's work. It's likely dogs are able to smell a change in the chemicals in their owner's breath, which is not to be sniffed at.
Saving lives only for a biscuit. This is Magic, a golden Labrador who has been trained to sense when his owner's blood sugar levels are changing and alert them to the danger.
So I have type 1 diabetes, and that means that I'm unable to control my blood glucose levels because my body doesn't produce a substance called insulin. So I have to give an artificial type of insulin, but that can make the blood glucose levels go really low or really high. So I could become unconscious in a moment of seconds because my body is not giving me those warning signs to prevent it. So Magic is a trained Labrador from the charity Medical Detection Dogs, and he can tell when my blood glucose levels are changing. Since we've been together, he's saved my life over 2,500 times.
Magic alerts Claire to the danger by jumping up to her chest and prodding her with his paw.
Before I had him, I would have to test my blood glucose levels lots of times a day, and we were talking every hour, and that would be day and night. Now with Magic, because he's always smelling me, I know that if my blood sugar starts to go too low or too high, he's going to tell me.
But until recently, scientists have not truly understood why dogs like Magic know of the changes in blood sugar levels. Researchers in Cambridge now believe it may be due to their excellent sense of smell.
All of us have 200 or 300 chemicals which come off in breath, usually in very low amounts. And in this work, we hypothesise we might be able to pick up messages in breath that changed as blood sugar levels changed.
If this hypothesis can be confirmed, it may open up the possibility of breathalyzer-style blood sugar tests.
So, for example, one of the things we've talked about is whether we could build this into some sort of smart pillow that could then detect and alert to hypoglycemia in the night, in the same way that medical detection dogs can do that. They can sleep by their owner's side and wake up during the night and wake their owners when blood sugar's going low.
The team hope eventually technology can be developed that helps other people, like Magic helps Claire.
Ahead of the 2016 Olympics, we've been meeting some of the UK's top athletes. In Glasgow, STV drop in on badminton player Kirsty Gilmore to find out about her training, ambitions and medal prospects, and to see if she can serve up some top tips for shuttlecock success.
So Kirsty, you've just come off the court from a bit of training this morning. How was that? What were you up to?
Today was a multi-shuttle session, so that means my coach just gets a whole load of shuttles up his arm and he just fires them at me. Yeah, and I normally arrive here at kind of 8:15, get on the bike to warm up, and then do a kind of general warm-up, hit from 9 to 11, and then another two and a bit hours in the afternoon as well, and then we do it all again on Monday. The kind of most important thing about training, or my training, is we try to make it harder than a game, so when it comes to a real competition, they're just like,
this is so easy.
Yeah. That's the thing with badminton, you have to have a really good mix of speed, endurance, stamina, strength, power. It's a multifaceted thing that I think is really underappreciated with badminton.
In terms of obviously being part of Team GB, does that change your training schedule? Do you have to be somewhere else, or can you train here in Scotland?
I do train here in Scotland, I'm based here, but I do go down to Milton Keynes to kind of work with the coaches and really kind of form relationships there.
You're leading up to Rio, you're in a good position, 15th in the world, is that right?
Yeah.
Amazing. How are you feeling about that medal prospect? I suppose it's something you've got to go in and focus on.
You know, I don't want to just go and turn up and compete. I don't want to just get the tracksuit. You know, I do want to try and really challenge these big top players. Yeah, it's going to be tough and it's going to be a hell of an experience, but, you know, why go wanting anything other than that? That's why you train. That's why I do this 5 or 6 hours a day.
Do you think you can put me through my paces on the court a wee bit, teach me a couple of skills?
I'll do my best. First step, hit it.
That was brilliant, Kirsty. Thank you very much. Was it all right?
I mean, you've got a little bit of work to do.
I have a lot of work to do, definitely. But best of luck at Rio. You will be fantastic. I'm cheering you on with the rest of the country watching the telly. Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Right, I think we're done for today. Yeah, cheers.
Let's bumble across to Leeds now to learn more about the art of beekeeping. The humble honeybee has seen a huge drop in numbers in the UK, with few natural hives left. But we're buzzing to find out more about them just as soon as we can get those sexy suits on.
Now, if these outfits aren't obvious enough, we're currently at an apiary, which, if you don't know what that is, it's where they beekeep, could you say?
How do you even get into this bad boy? I've always wanted one of these hats. What's the situation with the numbers of bees? You know, you hear rumours that they're sort of dwindling, that the changing climate's affecting the bees. Is this to be correct?
If you have a very long winter and the flowers aren't blooming, if they're blooming late in May, then it means that the bees aren't getting the nectar that they need.
Bees are so important to our civilization. You were saying earlier that they're responsible for so much, from beer to chocolate.
We'd lose a lot of our best food if we didn't have any bees. Yeah.
And I think people don't really fully understand how vital these are for a lot of the food consumptions that we have out there, and just pollinating things like flowers and stuff. So think, can you tell us a few things that the bees contribute to?
Top fruit, apples, pears, all the fruit really.
We're here with Kath and Kate. Now, they've been showing us all about the hives we've got here, making the honey, bees all coming together. Interesting experience today, Ben, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great. Like, I've always wanted to do that, lady, so thank you so much. It's one ticked off the bucket list.
Now, something that we wanted to touch on is that honey is really, really important, and some people at home might not realise how important it is. Why is it so important to be able to have places like this?
If we didn't have beekeepers in associations like this, and we've got them all over the country, then we would very soon have hardly any honeybees left, because the number of feral colonies left in this country is next to nothing.
So don't step on a bee. It's doing a lot for your food, for your environment. Thank you again.
There's nothing quite like pulling on wellies, jumping in puddles and squelching through mud. But with children spending so much time indoors, there's a worry they'll miss out on these wholesome activities. So a project in Nottingham is aiming to turn youngsters from babes in the wood to masters of the great outdoors.
So First School is all about giving the children the space and the time and the opportunity to play outdoors. Lots of kids don't get free time outside, and there's huge amounts of evidence about the benefits that they get.
It's just brought out a different person in her. She's just confident, and we did a fire the other day from last experience, and I think this has really helped her because she would teach us now.
I think we're very risk adverse in essence now, really, whereas obviously when we were growing up as kids you just did anything and played on street corners, whereas now it's a different world. But it's built all of his confidence. No end, he's a very confident boy anyway.
I like coming into the world because I like listening to the animals. My favourite part is doing climbing trees. My favourite part is getting muddy. My favourite part is jumping in the puddles.
Those kind of risks are the sort of things that I used to do when I was a child, and you learn as you go along, you know, and they're getting braver and braver at doing these, and they know which trees they can climb and how far they can go in these trees, and you do see a different side to a child when you come here than when you're in the preschool, so that's just fantastic. I did fall in a ditch.
And live while we're young.
The Blackpool Illuminations have been around since 1879, but this year the historic light show is being refreshed with an immersive experience of brilliant bulbs and dazzling displays along the city's promenade. Let's head to Lancashire to be enlightened with a sneak preview.
When the rest of the country goes dark, Blackpool turns the lights on. This year's themes are fact, fantasy and fairy tale.
People have got so used to taking us for granted, I think. People have got used to this idea that it's something you drive through from one end to another, you go ooh ah, and then that's it. Actually, what we're really doing now is saying, for goodness sake, get out of your car.
New films will project onto the tower. The theme of fact takes us above the glittering lights of the prom to the stars above. Combining fact with 50 years of the biggest fantasy franchise, Star Trek will hold pride of place in the heart of the Golden Mile.
It's amazing to have Star Trek here, and I think it's quite funny that there we are. We've got we've got Nick Lister, this extraordinary astronomer, and we've also got the astronomical fantasy that is Star Trek.
Over 1 million lights are spread down the prom in what's described as the greatest free light show on Earth, and it's this international spotlight that creative directors are hoping to switch back on this year.
So I think that people are going to feel this year that they've been treated to an experience, the kind of experience that you take for granted somewhere like Las Vegas or Disney World or Florida. We started all of that. Blackpool created all of those resorts. Blackpool was the first.
Well, that brings us to the end of part 1, which means it's quiz time. Where did Sir Arthur Conan Doyle write his first Sherlock Holmes story? Was it A, London, B, Portsmouth, or C, Edinburgh? We'll help you solve the mystery after the break. Loving local? Then let us know what you think with the hashtag Digital Nation. Welcome back to Digital Nation. Before the break, we asked you where Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote his first Sherlock Holmes story. Elementary, my dear Watson. The answer is B, Portsmouth. The author was practicing as a doctor in the seaside city when he wrote A Study in Scarlet. Let's head to Oxfordshire now and to the school that rocked. With a little help from teachers, children at a Witney primary school have set up their own radio station, with pupils themselves as hosts, DJs and newsreaders. Wait, how can we stop this? I'll be out of a job.
Pupils at Hamborough Manor Primary School have recently unveiled their brand new radio station for all the other students.
I help organise the school council, which is made up of children across the school, and each year we have a project to work on, so the children decide what they would like to bring to the school. We're going to have it playing at lunchtime, so for about 15 minutes on a Friday, the children will work together, so there'll be a radio team, and it will always be children in year 6.
I enjoy doing it because I got asked to do it. Because every Sunday I go to a church and I mix a service with like a band and a mixing desk.
It's nice to be able to do something that everyone's involved in and everyone can have a chance to pick what they want.
A radio station gives children a whole load of opportunities for real life context. They can write scripts, they can share news, they can enjoy music, and it's a central place to bring all of those skills together. Some of those year 6s have spent most of their final year in primary school doing it, and it's a shame that they can't enjoy it for slightly longer, but it's certainly something that they're going to remember and take with them. We've already got a waiting list of year 5s that want to jump on board. Certain children that have said they'd be fantastic sports reporters, others that fancy themselves more as a news anchor. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do with the show.
Over to Liverpool now, where we meet a player who's getting the sport of blind golf down to a T. Steve Beavers might not be able to see the ball or the course, but with the help of a trusted guide helping call the shots, he's proving it's not a barrier to enjoying the sport.
Hoylake resident and Wallasey Golf Club member Steve Beavers is warming up for a morning out on the golf course where he regularly plays with friends. In the 1980s, Steve began to suffer from a degenerative sight condition which has left him with no central vision. He initially thought his days of playing competitive sport were over, but that all changed when he was introduced to the sport of blind golf.
Blind golf is exactly the same game as everyone else plays, played on the same golf courses, played with the same equipment, the only difference being that blind golfers have to have a sighted guide playing with them. So we consider blind golf to be a team game, and I play regularly with a few people from Wallasey Golf Club who are known as my guides, and they come along to the blind golf tournaments and help me around the course by lining up the ball for me, pointing me in the right direction, telling me a little bit about the terrain in front of me, which club to take, and most importantly telling me where my ball's gone and then finding it again.
Steve's a very good golfer in his own right anyway, he's very well coordinated. So as a guide for a man of his ability, I find it quite easy, but I'm hitting every shot with him, so you do come off mentally exhausted, if not physically. If he does miss-hit it, I do feel it. I think, oh, have I told him wrong? Have I pointed him in the wrong direction? And so that's why I say it gets very mentally taxing on that one.
Playing blind golf has helped Steve meet more people with similar conditions to his.
We support each other greatly, I think, around golf, but in other issues as well. Many members have said, well, please come out and play with us and we'll help you around the course and we'll make sure that everyone's safe and we'll shout for and we'll spot your ball for you. Some are better at it than others, I must admit, but it's a huge part of what I do in my life to play golf at Wallasey.
A collection of photographs of Londoners has gone on display in the capital. The pictures capture the city dwellers in places that mean something special to them, encapsulating London's different facets and meanings. But the exhibition isn't quite complete yet.
This exhibition is to help Londoners to identify with and speak up for the bits of the historic environment that are really important to them. In a couple of years' time, Londoners will all be consulted on a very, very big scale about something called the London Plan, which is a 20-year plan for how London should develop. We can't save every single part of the historic environment, but we can save the stuff that's most important and most special. And this exhibition is about the start of it, really. We're asking real Londoners. We've chosen 59 people who we think really personify London. We've asked them which are the special places for them. But we're leaving a space. We want one more person. We want to know what we've left out.
I've chosen the building in which my college, the New College of the Humanities, is based. And it's in Bedford Square, which is a beautiful late 18th century square, perhaps the only completely intact such square in London. I've always felt that it is very, very close to the heart of my own conception of what London is and means. And so to be based there now and to be working there now feels like a wonderful privilege.
This is Billingsgate Fish Market. This is where my family business is based. We have been for 4 generations. Obviously it's very, very important to me. It's a very large, important building, obviously very, very important in my family.
I grew up in North London and the canals have always been part of my life. We work the locks to help the boaters going through, and on a wet day, or if they're working on their own, it's a help for them. But we also have a role in promoting that area as well. It's like an urban playground, and sometimes people forget that.
Coming up, a shot of whiskey. But first, a weekly shot of ingenuity with Creative Kingdom.
So, which British city is responsible for the invention of the torpedo? Why, it was that great traditional seafaring power, Bolton! It was all down to Robert Whitehead, the son of a cotton bleacher who felt the call of the sea and the desire to blow things that floated on it to smithereens. While working in the city of Trieste in the 1850s, he met an officer of the Austro-Hungarian Navy who had invented an exploding clockwork boat. It didn't work very well. So, Robert had a go at designing an underwater device powered by compressed air that he named after the torpedo fish. It caused an explosion of interest, and before too long it was used in World War I by the British and the French and the Russians and the Americans and the Germans. And when it was over, neither Austria nor Hungary had a navy anymore, or a coastline. Oh well. Proof once again that when it comes to creativity, innovation and making a splash, then Bolton mint.
Lindores Abbey in Fife has had a long association with Scotch whisky. The building itself was pulled down during the Scottish Reformation and has lain in ruin for centuries. But a new distillery is to be built on the site, bringing whisky back to the Abbey and unearthing some of its history in the process.
So I'd like to take you around the Abbey itself, where it all started, and then to the distillery site, which is our old farmsteading. We're in Lindores Abbey that was founded in 1191, really ended in 1550 when it was pulled down by John Knox. And the monks that lived here were brewers, distillers, farmers, orchard growers. If people are coming to visit the distillery, we want them to come to this side of the road as well and learn the history of Lindores and how it links into the whisky industry, really. As part of the planning process, we had to dig several trenches around the property to let the archaeologists have a look what was here, to make sure we weren't going to damage anything when we build the distillery around it. The very first trench that we dug has unearthed a wall about 80 metres long that no one has seen for several hundred years. And what it's really helped with is for the experts to get a better idea of this side of how the Abbey was actually formed. So we're delighted that the build is ongoing. It's going to be a serious grown-up distillery with all the historical attraction you can hope.
And finally, let's skip over to Brighton, where the year's glitziest celebrations of the city's lesbian, gay, bisexual and trans community have been going on. The Golden Handbag Awards recognise and honour the individuals and organisations that make up the area's diverse scene.
Brighton's the unofficial gay capital of the world, and this is the most glamorous night in our LGBT calendar. We've got people up for so many awards for so many great things, from bars and clubs to personalities and charity work.
For so long, for so many generations, gay life and lesbian life and trans life was underground, and it was physically pushed underground. Here we are, celebrating our contribution to life in this fantastic city, out, proud, noisy, loud and on stage. And that's an incredibly important thing. Being an openly gay MP, the fact that most people know something else about me before the fact that I'm gay, I think is actually more radical than people think. I think one of the next big waves of radical achievement for our community is to normalise being gay, and absolutely to normalise being trans, and be really proud of what we achieve as a community.
If you're a victim of hate crime or you know somebody is, do tell us. We do take it seriously, I promise you that. And officers really take it seriously. We care very much about stamping out hate. It's a big reason, I think, that sets this country apart from some of the other countries in the world where it's tolerated. We won't, and particularly in Sussex.
It's been an amazing experience. I didn't realise how close the community was in Brighton, with all the mayors, the head of the police, everybody just joining together like this.
And I'm afraid that's all we have time for on this week's rundown of the best of local TV. Don't forget to visit your local TV station's website, and if you've enjoyed the show, find previous episodes at bbc.co.uk/digitalnation. But do have a lovely week. Bye-bye.